I did not like Borderlands the pre-sequel. Now, for disclaimer, I did not experience the endgame. In fact, playing through normal was already difficult enough for me. And I don't mean the difficulty of the game. I meant in terms of actually enjoying the game. So take my opinion as you will. Another disclaimer I want to put out is that I'm aware of the bugs, glitches, gameplay design, such as not having refarmable bosses were once present. But I didn't experience the game until way after that, actually. Actually, I didn't finish the game until early this week at the time of the recording. And I didn't get the game until past September at the time of this recording as well. But I digress. The point is, I won't be holding those issues against the game during my playthrough. Yes, it took me 5 months to muster up the strength to finish this game. But now, before I get into any further reasons as to why I despise this game, this is all based on my opinion and based off of how I like to play games. As someone who primarily judges games based on whether I have fun with friends or not, I did not play this game with another friend, for they all feel the same way about this game. Most of them. So also take my opinion as you will based on that fact. Now let's actually begin, shall we? So before we get into the reasons why I dislike the game overall, yes, I'm pushing back the main points once again. I'm going to talk about the good with the game. Firstly, the cinematics in this are a huge step up from the previous game. Look at the opening scene, for example, and even the last feel. Look at the lighting, texture, and animation in them. As for playable characters, the Vault Hunters in this game are really well designed. At least I'm assuming based off of my time playing as a doppelganger in my short playthrough as Wilhelm before switching over to Jack himself. The gameplay feels as good as its predecessor, Borderlands 2. The loot in this game is also quite abundant throughout. Also, the final boss fight against the Sentinel is a lot more challenging and engaging than the warrior from Borderlands 2. Though the fight had 2 stages and each stage had 3 phases where you just do the same thing every time, I still enjoyed the final fight regardless. During the fight, I was actually on edge the entire time. Probably mostly because I didn't want to lose, since I just want to finish the game and starting over would be a tragedy. And also because I was playing with a dysfunctional controller where my screen would randomly turn left. But that's besides the point. The final fight was very enjoyable and better designed than the warrior. Granted, the warrior isn't a very well designed boss fight, but at least it's very farmable though. But I digress. Now, actually going through some of the things I do not like about this game. Firstly, the opening sequence. It was exciting, yes, but that excitement would die almost immediately. Once you enter the escape pod and land on the moon, this is where the Borefest kicks in. Upon arriving on the moon, we would be greeted by Janie Springs. I think that's her name at least, I don't quite remember. Right away, you can tell she's supposed to serve as a comedic relief of the game's early hours. But everything she says just doesn't land, but rather falls flat, depriving the early game of any character, identity, or even enjoyment. On top of that, the moon is quite boring to explore. Like, just look at it. It's just a lot of emptiness throughout. I mean, sure, there's some Kragans here and there, but they just get annoying and repetitive after a while. There's also moon bases here and there as well, but they don't serve much other than places to indicate there are bad guys that you need to shoot. It also doesn't help that the progression within the first few hours felt too slow. I have heard that the rate you earn EXP in this game and how it's calculated is the same as any other Borderlands game, and I don't doubt that, but it doesn't change the fact it felt slow. And what leads me to believe and feel this way is because of how the side quests are designed in the beginning. All the objectives are so far spread out, which makes it more time consuming to accomplish each mission. Thus, slower progression is the repercussion at the end of it all. Even the main mission quests were long and tedious to play through. Another thing that drives the boredom throughout the game is the non-stop barrage of uninspired dialogue written for each character. Like, I kid you not. Every time someone starts speaking that isn't Handsome Jack that is, I literally just space out. I smile every time I say that. But when listening to them is what I'm saying. Every character just felt dry and uninteresting, making the game feeling more lifeless, creating an even further uninteresting experience finishing the game. Even Handsome Jack didn't seem interested a handful of times when he's speaking. Another issue the game struggles with is mob variety. Playing throughout the game, you are either fighting a Kragan, a Lost Legion Marine, or an Eternal. I think that's what they're called. There may have been a few different enemies here and there, but it was extremely rare. It was so rare that you wouldn't even remember encountering them. That was all you had throughout the entire game, and the game felt so repetitive after fighting them for so long. In Borderlands 2, you had stalkers, skags, rats, crystalists, threshers, lab rats, bandits, many different types of bandits, Hyperion robots, and different types of Hyperion robots, and so much more. Like, that's just quite depressing if you ask me, from what we had in Borderlands 2 to what we got in Borderlands the pre-sequel. Then there's the issue with the story. I either did not pay attention to it at all because it was explained during the boring dialogue, or it was just outright uninteresting. Though I will say, Handsome Jack's character did carry, or try to carry, the story. The moment when Roland, Lilith, and Moxie betrayed him, causing his freakout, actually caught my attention, and I thought was actually really engaging while it lasted.
Controls reset. Rebooting in 5, 4, 3, 2. Shutdown aborted. Invalid energy configuration.
Oh, great. What now?
Jack, I'm sorry.
I'm not. Warning, singularity detected.
Whoa! What the hell?
Good job, everybody.
What, Moxie? What the hell are you doing?
Betraying you, trying to kill you. Two things I should have done a long time ago, you power-hungry psychopath.
What do you mean, Moxie? How did you even...
I've been watching you, Jack. And behind that smile, behind that hero complex, there's something wrong about you. If you come down from Helios alive, a lot of decent people will live to regret it.
No! Damn it, I trusted you, Moxie! Do you know what you've done? You've just killed us all!
Bye-bye, sugar.
Damn it! The eye! That was one of a kind! The things I could have done! Friggin' liars! Friggin' cowards! They're no better than bandits!
Like, after this scene, I actually almost felt for the guy, despite already witnessing some of his sadistic deeds leading to his turn. I actually believe this was a turnaround for the game, in a story standpoint anyways. Seeing his anger driving him into a psychotic state was actually a thrill to witness, especially at the after credit scene where they introduced him as Handsome Jack for the first time. Pre-sequel could have been a good game. The gunplay and loot is where it should be, and the way each characters are designed are great. Again, at least I'm assuming, since the Doppelganger and Wilhelm felt great to play, and I thought had interesting skills. Introducing lasers were actually quite a good idea, giving us a new weapon type to grind for. Adding an ice element to the game also spiced the combat up quite well, but in the end, none of it was worth working for because of how dry and lifeless the game felt during my personal playthrough. Now, I have said that the main draw to Borderlands in one of my previous videos is the design of the playable Vault Hunters, but everything surrounding it, such as the world, characters, helped the grind become more bearable. The pre-sequel just lacks so much life and substance, preventing me from wanting to progress my character any further. I really want to max out my Jack and Wilhelm, but because of how boring the game is, I just don't have the drive to do so. Of course, this is all just my opinion, formed based off of my own personal experience with the game. I may actually revisit the game another time and actually try to push for the end game and see how my opinion changes then, but we'll see. That is all. Okay, bye.